Welcome back to another StarWarsUnlimited deck build, and today I am bringing you a deck that is still slipping under the radar with how good it actually is. And that, of course, is my Obi-Wan Kenobi deck. A few weeks back, a subscriber commented on one of my videos asking me to build an Obi-Wan deck, and I'm so pleased that they did. And that is because this deck is so much fun to play while still competing with the meta. I am consistently beating meta decks with this Obi-Wan build. But very quickly, before we jump into the leader, the base, and how the deck likes to play, if you enjoy StarWarsUnlimited content, please make sure to like and subscribe because there's going to be plenty more decks coming with gameplay videos and I don't want you guys to miss out. With that being said, let's crack on to Obi-Wan. So, Obi-Wan, what does he do? He's got a very simple action. It just reads, exhaust him, heal 1 damage from a unit. First impressions, you may be thinking, oh, is that it? That's not very impressive. But let me tell you right now, this is a lot stronger than you may realise. And that is because a lot of decks like to do the 1 ping damage onto a unit so they can Tarkin Town and defeat your unit, meaning you then, turn 1, you have nothing to play. So typically, against a Cad Bane or a Quinlan Voss, you're going to play out a unit, and they're going to normally do 1 ping damage onto it straight away, and then on their next turn, they're going to Tarkin Town and defeat it. However, this is where Obi-Wan hard counters that, because you can just activate him, heal that 1 damage, now they got no target for Tarkin Town. Just keeping that 1 extra unit against those types of decks is so strong. And, well, it's not just that where it's quite good. Maybe you've got a Sentinel down and they've got just enough damage to defeat it. You can just action, heal it, boom, now you can't defeat it. When Obi-Wan Kenobi deploys, he comes out on 6. He's got a 4/7 stat line with Sentinel and also reads, on attack, heal 1 damage from a unit. If you do, deal 1 damage to a different unit. When I first built this deck, I thought that'd be alright, but I was so wrong. In practice, it's insanely strong. And that is because essentially when he attacks a unit, he's always doing 5 damage because you can ping that extra 1. And not just that, because he's a Sentinel and they have to go through him, he can actually heal himself with his own on-attack ability. And that just makes him stick around for so long. Especially when you're upping his health with things like the Force is with me, or maybe one of the lightsabers we run in this deck. So more often than not, you actually end up with a 9 or 10 health Sentinel that's actually healing himself, and while he's healing himself, he's pinging damage. I honestly really like Obi-Wan Kenobi. That deploy turn when he comes out is so strong. And, well, worst case scenario, it's just a 4/7 Sentinel they still need to get through. And for our base, we've gone for the 30 health to Poker City. I know what you're thinking, why aren't you going for the 33 health Data Vault? Well, I did actually build a Data Vault, but I found with the 60 cards, it just wasn't as consistent. So because of that, I found this build with the 30 health, the 10 less cards, a lot better for me and a lot more effective. So now that we've covered our base and our leader, why don't we crack on to the ground units? Kicking things off the ground units is our 2 cost, and well, you've already seen it, that is 3 Battlefield Marines. It's a green hero deck. This is an absolute staple turn 1 play in any of those builds, because it's just a 3/3 stat line for 2 cost. You can't get much more solid than that. The amount of times I've played against a Sabine deck, I've had the initiative and just hit this into their Sabine unit, defeated them, and kept my Battlefield Marine alive for the next turn. There really isn't too much for me to talk about Battlefield Marine. It's just a solid turn 1 play, and it's one of the best stat lines you can buy out for 2 costs right now. Moving on to our next 2 costing ground unit is 3 Gamorrean Retainers. So this card is a 3 attack 2 health card that reads, while you control another green unit, this unit gains Sentinel. This guy pairs beautifully with one of the cards in our deck. And that, of course, is Hu Yang. Play Hu Yang out, turn after this, you've then got a 5/4 Sentinel that you can keep healing with Obi-Wan. And not just that, we've got a lot of green units within this deck, so more often than not, you're playing this out and it's getting its Sentinel, and of course, it's a Sentinel you can heal with Obi-Wan. Moving on to our 3 costing ground units is a card you've literally just seen, that is 2 Hu Yangs. So it's a 3 cost, 2/4 stat line that reads, when played, choose another friendly unit. While this unit's in play, the chosen unit gets +2/+2. There's 2 key things we look to do with this card. Number 1, we look to partner it up with our Gamorrean Retainers. If we're playing Sabine, we go turn 1 Gamorrean Retainer, turn 2 Hu Yang, and make it a 5/4 Sentinel my word, Sabine's going to struggle. The second thing we look to do is on our deploy turn with Obi-Wan Kenobi, we look to give him a lightsaber, making him a 7-10, and then put Huyang onto him, making him a 9-12. And on top of all of that, he's also got the Jedi tag, meaning worst case scenario, we could put General's Blade onto him, and he gets the effect off because he's a Jedi. You may be thinking, wow, that's all really good. Why don't you run him at a 3 of? And that is because I just found we needed too much setup. So maybe if they are clearing your units, maybe you need to claw yourself back into the game. Drawn into a Huyang isn't great because just playing him out on his own is kind of useless. But if you get him out at the right time, my word, is it an issue for the opposition to deal with. Moving on to our next free cost is 2 Village Protectors. This card is a 2 attack, 2 health with Sentinel, but more importantly, it's shielded, meaning it comes out with a shield. Yes, a shielded Sentinel. I think everyone who's got some experience playing this game knows how annoying this card is to deal with. And it's in here because we're more mid-ish to late game deck, so we want to slowly opposition up to allow us to get to that stage so we can use our full power, and this really slows down some of those ultra aggressive decks. However, please be aware, if you're playing against a Sabine and you got the Sabine unit on field, she can one-shot this because she can do her on-attack ability to ping the shield and then the attack goes through. But if you play this down at the right time, it's going to take at least 2 attacks to get through it, and against aggression decks, that's really important. Moving on to our final free costing ground unit, now it's 3 Yodas. So it's a 2/4 stat line with Restore 2, so he's healing 2, and when defeated, choose any number of players. You're always just going to choose yourself, and they each draw a card. The reason this card is so good is because at the stage it comes out, it normally takes at least 2 attacks to defeat them, and by then it's got at least 1 attack in to restore, but more importantly, it's got that Force tag, meaning we can put our lightsabers on him, the Force is with me on him, it just quickly becomes an issue. Put 1 lightsaber onto this guy, he's a 5/7 healing for 2. Moving on to our 4 costing units, and well, it's a blue hero deck with Force cards, you know what's coming, that is 3 Kanan Jarrus. This card is a 4 attack, 5 health stat line, with on attack you may discard 1 card from the defending player's deck for each friendly Spectre unit. You're only ever going to have 1 Spectre unit on the field. Then heal 1 damage from your base for each different aspect among the discarded cards. That discard ability is so nice. The amount of times I've hit a big card off their top of the deck is actually insane. And well, him plus Yoda, you quickly start healing a lot from your base. He's another one where if you chuck a lightsaber onto him, he becomes a 7/8. And well, if you put the Forces with me on him, becomes a 6/7 with a shield. Yeah, he's just insane. I really like this card. Moving on to our 5 costing ground units is a card that is crucial for the control matchups, and that's 3 Chewbacca's. So this card is a 5 attack, 6 health stat line that reads, this unit can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities, which is insane because if you have this card out, it means their Power of the Dark Sides become useless. But this card is super versatile for this deck, and that's because it's also got piloting. So you can pilot it for only 3 cost, and the attached unit gains, this unit can't be defeated or returned to hand by enemy card abilities, while also giving it +3/+3. The best way to think about this card is basically it's like one of our Saber cards, but one of our vehicles. I can't tell you the amount of times I've put this onto my Phoenix Squadron A-Wing and just won, because it becomes a 6/5 that they just can't get rid of unless they crash multiple units into. But please be aware of 2 things if you're going to attach it onto a vehicle. That is 1, Traitorous. If you play into a card that costs 3 or less, Traitorous is horrible for us. Like, I've lost a couple of games, they've taken my A-Wing with Chewbacca on it, and there's just nothing I can do. And the other one is the removal card in Blue Villainy. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like No Honor, Just Results, or No Glory, Just Results, which is they take control of a unit, then defeat it. That would work, because it would then be their card, not ours. But with that being said, it definitely helps us more than it hurts us, and well, even if you just play it as a unit on the ground, a 5/6 stat line with that effect is nothing to turn your nose up at. Okay, and moving on to our 6 costing ground units is 2 General Riken. This card is a 5 attack, 7 health that reads, when played and on attack, choose a friendly unit. If it has Sentinel, give experience token to it. Otherwise, it gains Sentinel for this phase. So because this comes out on 6, the same turn as your Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can actually play this after deploying Obi-Wan and give an experience token to him. And not just that, it doesn't say you have to put it onto a ground unit, so you can actually play it out onto the ground and give Sentinel to one of your space units. For the longest time, I was actually running the 6 cost Obi-Wan Kenobi unit, the 4/6 Sentinel, but I just found this card has so much more power for us, and not just that, the amount of times my Obi-Wan unit got no honor just results and they got the 2 experience tokens was rough. And I just got so fed up with it, I put this guy in and I haven't looked back since because this card is insane. Especially because, like I said, you can play it out and give an experience token to your Obi-Wan or maybe your village protectors. And I mean, worst case scenario, just pick him and he becomes a 5/7 Sentinel. And rounding up our ground units is a 7 cost and has 3 Luke Skywalkers. So this card has got 6 attack, 7 health, and it's got Restore 3. Yes, Restore 3. And it also reads, when played, give an enemy unit -3/-3 for this phase. If a friendly unit was defeated this phase, give an enemy unit -6/-6 for this phase instead. This card is absolutely insane. It came out set 1 and it's still like one of the best cards in the game. I understand Luke's quite expensive, so you haven't got any Lukes, maybe you can chuck in alternatives. Such as the 8 cost Chewbacca, or maybe that other Jedi that came out set 3, can't remember her name. She's one that gets grit with coordinate and she heals for every unit you control. Or maybe you can put things in like your reinforcement walkers. But the reason this card is so good is because that -6/-6 just swings games, and of course it's a force unit, meaning we can put our lightsabers onto it, or maybe the force is with me onto it, and well, because of 7 health, more often than not we're going to heal it with Obi-Wan, making him a big issue to get rid of. So that's it for our ground units. Let's crack on to the space units. Starting things off with the space units is a 2 cost, and that is 3 Phoenix Squadron A-Wings. Similar to our Battlefield Marines, there's not a lot to say about this card, it's just a very solid turn 1 play. It's just simply a ship with 3 attack and 2 health. This is one of those cards that if you put Chewbacca onto, it becomes a 6/5 that can't be defeated or bounced, and my word, it will get 2, 3, maybe 4 attacks in, and yeah, it's just insane. Please note, it's also green, so it means our Gamorrean Retainer will be getting Sentinel while this card is out. This is really important for the Sabine matchups because it can one-shot their A-Wings while also surviving due to the 1 damage coming back to it. Moving on to our next 2 cost in space unit is one of my favourite cards in the game. That is 3 Restored Arc 170s. So it's just 2 attack, 3 health with Restore 1. I think the reason I like it so much is because it can one-shot a lot of their space units while surviving, and well, the amount of times it survived on space for like 3 or 4 turns and it just kept healing away, and that 3 or 4 healing actually can end up winning you the game. Moving on to our 3 cost in space units is 2 Concord Dawn Interceptors. So this card has 1 attack, 4 health, but has Sentinel, but more importantly, this unit gains +2 while defending. So essentially it's a 3/4 Sentinel that you can keep healing with Obi-Wan. With all the Vader decks going around right now, this card is insane because it normally takes out 2, maybe 3 of their units, thanks to us keep healing it with Obi-Wan. And well, against Sabine again, if they go space heavy, this will shut it down on its own. What I have done before, I've had a force unit out, done the forces with me, and actually given the 2 experience tokens and a shield to this, making it a 3/6. But it has then gets the +2, making it a 5/6 Sentinel with a shield. Pfft, ridiculous. I mentioned one of my favourite cards in the game. Here's another one of my favourite cards in the game. That is 3 Blue Leaders. I absolutely adore this card. So it's 3 attack, 3 health with ambush, so a nice just space ambush. Normally if you've got the initiative going into turn 2, you can play this out and just obliterate their space turn 1 and normally survive. But more importantly, it's got this. When played, you may pay 2. If you do, move this to the ground arena and give 2 experience tokens to it. So the reason I love it is because of course it can ambush in space, or you can play it out, do the 2 experience tokens and then ambush, meaning you've also got a 5 attack, 5 health ambush for the ground. The utility it gives us is crazy good, and that is why I love it, just because if you get this early game, you're like, brilliant, I can take something out. If you get late game, still brilliant, because worst case scenario, you can just play it out as a 5/5 unit and not do the ambush. Moving on to our 4 cost in space units is 2 Bright Hopes. So it's a 2 attack, 6 health Sentinel that reads, when played, you may return a friendly non-leader ground unit to its owner's hand. If you do, draw a card. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to activate that ability, but it's there if you need it. It's just a 6 health Sentinel. Have fun getting through that space, Dex. And of course, you know what I'm going to say, you can keep healing it with Obi-Wan, meaning this becomes such a nuisance if they want to get through it. And rounding up our space units is a 5 cost, and that is 2 Obi-Wan's Aether Sprites. So this card is a 4 attack, 6 health that reads, when played and on attack, you may deal 1 damage to this unit, and 2 damage to another space unit. So essentially, if it's going to attack a unit, it can do 6 damage for 5 resources. But the main thing I like doing with it is attacking their base for 4, doing the 1 damage here, and then pinging damage to one of their units, often defeating it. And this card is one of the main reasons Obi-Wan's on-attack ability is always live, because you're always damaging itself, meaning you can then always heal that damage on the attack and ping it somewhere else. So that's actually it for our space units. Let's move on to the events and upgrades. Kicking things off with the events and upgrades is a card you've already seen, and that's 2 General's Blade. So this card is a 3 cost that reads attached to a non-vehicle unit. If attached to a Jedi unit, it gains on attack. The next unit you play this phase costs 2 less. Not just that, it also gives it free attack, free health. If you get this onto a Jedi, it means you can play your Luke out on 5 resources. And like I showed you earlier, Huyang can be equipped with this to make it work. You've also got Yoda, Kanan, and your Obi-Wan, so you've got all these options to choose from. And because of that, you will more often than not be able to activate this on-attack ability. But to be honest, it's mainly in here just because of the free boost it gives. Going from one lightsaber to another of our next free costs, and that's 2 Jedi Lightsaber. So like the last card, you attach it to a non-vehicle unit. It gives it free attack, free health, but this card, if attached to a force unit, it gains on attack, gives the defending player -2/-2 for this phase. But to be honest, just put it on your Obi-Wan, making him a 7/10 Sentinel is just absurdly strong. I just found equipping this onto a force unit often makes it an absolute unit defeating machine. That's because it attacks, gives it the -2/-2, a little bit of damage back, then your next action just heal it back up with Obi-Wan. Okay, let's move on to our 4 cost events and upgrades, and well, with a blue deck, let's get a little bit of control in there, shall we? We've got 2 takedowns. Simply defeat a unit with 5 or less remaining HP. Simple, just defeat something, get rid of it. Something a little bit too big that's annoying, boom, get rid of it. Maybe you're going ground heavy, they've got a big space presence, boom, get rid of it. And on top of all of that, it also can hit leaders, so you can one-shot things like Sabine when they come out. Keeping up the bit of the soft control theme we've got is our next 4 costs, and that's 2 Fell the Dragons. So this card, defeat a non-leader unit with 5 or more power. So because we're more of that mid-ish to kind of late game deck, that means they can also get their big units out. So this just essentially says, no, get rid of it. I found in this deck, their big leaders isn't too much of an issue, because we've got a Sentinel leader ourselves that we can bump to insane stat lines, like this will normally trade with their leader, and that's okay with us. So it's their big units that can be an issue, but like I said, this just says no to that unit. Moving on to our next 4 cost event upgrade is another one of my favourite cards, and that's 2 The Force is With Me. This card reads, choose a friendly unit and give 2 experience tokens to it. If you control a Force unit, which you probably will, also give a shield token to that chosen unit. You can then attack with that chosen unit. Like, it's just nuts. Each one of these effects is so good on its own, and the fact you can do them all, more often than not, I love to put this onto my Obi-Wan, making him a 6/9 with a shield. But even just putting this onto our Yoda unit, making him a 4/6 with that Restore 2 and a shield, like, it's actually kind of ridiculous. When I play against an Anakin deck, this onto our Obi-Wan is an absolute must. It makes the Anakin leader just useless, because our Obi-Wan just takes him down without really breaking a sweat. And rounding up our main deck is 2 U-Wing Reinforcements. This card is just absurdly good. It's so good. So what does it do? Search the top 10 cards of your deck for up to 3 units that combine cost 7 or less, and play each of them for free. So a few things you can do with this. You can just play out a Luke. Yeah, this just allows you to search and play a Luke for free. Like, how nuts is that? Or you can play out like multiple smaller units. This card's just insane, and another reason I really like it is because if you need to claw yourself back into a game, either surprising with a Luke out of nowhere or bringing 3 good units out is so strong. So that's it for our main deck. Let's move on to this side deck. Starting things with the side deck is a 1 Village Protector. So I've got the third one in here just in case we are playing against those really aggressive decks and we need to slow them up that little bit more. There's no harm in having another Shielded Sentinel in there. I just found against most matchups I didn't need the 3, but yeah, the third is crucial for the ultra aggro decks. Following the vibe of having a third Sentinel to slow down the aggro decks is, well, our next one, and that is another Bright Hope. This is in here for the same reason that our Village Protectors are, but if you're playing a Vader or a Space Swarmy deck, playing this out, slow them up. Or maybe you're playing a ramp deck and you're getting late game, you need that little bit more oomph to help your Lukes. Then our next side deck option will certainly do that. That is 2 Home Ones. So this card is a 7 attack, 7 health card with Restore 2. Also says each other friendly unit gains Restore 1, so the amount of healing it enables is insane. But also it says, when played, you may play a hero aspect unit from your discard pile. It costs 3 less. So if you're going late game, you're high resources, you've gone through a lot of your deck, this can bring back maybe your Village Protectors, or maybe your Canaans, or what I have done before, it's actually brought a Luke back. And on top of all of that, it's just a big body in space. Moving on to our next side deck option is a 1 cost that is free, Confiscates. So simply, this card just reads Defeat and Upgrade. The reason it's in here is because, well, Sabine with Darksaber is still absurdly strong. Just get rid of it for a 1 cost, it's nice. Or maybe you're playing a boss deck, they keep playing bounties, get rid of it. Maybe they've played Frozen Carbonite, do this, get rid of it. It's just really good. And on top of all of that, it also can defeat pilots. So maybe you're playing a piloting deck, or maybe that Vader deck, they put Vader onto a unit, just play this, defeat it. Shall we go back to our soft control theme? I think so. Our next side deck option is a 4 cost, that is our third, Fell the Dragon. So the reason it's in here is because maybe we're going late game, they're playing big unit after big unit, play this, get rid of it. And well, if we're going to stick on the soft control theme, it's also a third takedown. Same sort of reason, just remove something off the board. And rounding up our side deck is a card that's very good against us, so I thought, if you can't beat them, join them. That's a 5 cost, Traitorous. So this card reads, when this upgrade becomes attached to a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less, take control of that unit. It also reads, when this upgrade becomes unattached from a unit, the unit's owner takes control of it. So simply attach it onto something, take control of it, lovely. So that's it for our side deck and the main deck. Here is the deck list for those who want it. For final thoughts on matchups, I really like this deck. It's just a fun, off-meta deck that can actually take meta decks down. I have repeatedly taken down Quinlan Vosses, Cad Banes, and Luke's not really an issue. However, if you're playing against a Sabine matchup and you don't get your Sentinels and you can't trade in enough, they can run through you. However, I'd probably say it's about 50-50, maybe 55 in their favour on who wins. One deck though, this deck does really struggle against is Kira. Like, Kira does obliterate this deck really. Like, we can maybe get the odd win here and there, but Kira just more often than not will win. But all in all, it's actually a really solid deck, and I'm actually quite surprised that more people don't play it. Because, I mean, Obi-Wan's such an iconic character, and, well, it's just a lot of fun to play. Thank you very much who suggested if I could make a deck on Obi-Wan. Don't forget, if you want to have a deck built on the character, make sure to let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you think of the deck, any changes you may make, and, well, if you've tried it, how did it go for you? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy Stars Unlimited content. And, well, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully, I shall see you in the next one.